Right now, you're in a cycle of constant unmet goals and making not enough money with your online business. Well, I've collected $50,000 through my business, and by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to do in order to grow your business past a few $1,000s a month. Because I'm gonna show you exactly what I did, giving you a literal step-by-step roadmap that I use to scale my online business, as well as helping a few other partnerships that I have been a part of scale to 6 and 7 figures. And the best part is I have nothing to sell you. I'm just giving you what I wanted to know a couple of years ago for free. Starting with chapter 1. The person that you want to become is comprised of the beliefs and the skills that are necessary to achieve the vision that you have. And your vision at the end of the day is just a set of circumstances that you currently don't have. And then what type of person do you need to behave like in order to achieve that vision? And the problem is that most of you are doing things that don't align with becoming somebody new, rather just making more money. And now that will work for a little bit. Personally, it worked for me when I was first getting into business a few years ago when I was 15. However, as you go throughout business and as you go throughout life, you need to develop an understanding of what you're doing and why you're doing it, so that way you can continue to replicate the success that you meet sometimes. Or else you'll have this happen where you're gonna be stuck trying to figure out how to scale an online business, and you might have gotten some results, but they're nowhere near the consistency that you're looking for. And now the way you're gonna define that character, therefore the behavior you need to elicit to achieve the vision you have and consistently make the money you want, is through looking at many different role models that are in the position that you want to be in, and then describing the values they have, how they act, and what they believe. And then once you get those clear, simply you have to then analyze in what aspects do you fall short, and then focus your day around improving those. And then instead of being output oriented and constantly being stressed over the fact that you don't have enough money, what you're gonna be focused on instead is improving your character through changing the behavior that you elicit on a day-to-day basis. And then throughout that time, when it comes to the actual business strategy side of things, what you're gonna want to do is define the type of person that you want to work with. Because remember, I said you also need to know who you're going to work with. Therefore, it's going to be your ideal client or your ideal customer. So who are they? Well, how do you figure this out? Or maybe you already have an idea of it, but you want to get more specific. Well, it's simply by analyzing a few key things: their age, gender, occupation, qualities, and values. And a lot of the time, it's just about picking one group of people and then defining each one of these things, so literally writing them down, and then doing research into that group of people by talking to them. The way you're going to be able to talk to more of these types of people is by identifying where do they congregate online. Is it on Instagram pages? Is it in Facebook groups? Do they have websites? Whatever it might look like. You're gonna go to those places and start getting in contact with that type of individual. And then you're going to be able to learn more about them, therefore be able to serve them even better in your business. However, if you don't have a fantastic idea of who you're going to help inside of your business, what's gonna end up happening is it's going to be like you reading 10 mediocre books. But the truth is if you read one great book, that is way more valuable than reading 10 mediocre ones. So with your clients, you want to be able to be specific and have a fantastic understanding of the problem they face, as well as the person they are. Because then you can have fantastic case studies or fantastic customer satisfaction because you were exclusive with who you decided to work with or sell to. With that being said, you have to actually understand the problem that they're struggling with, or you're never going to be able to get anywhere, because you won't be able to help them at all if you don't understand your customer base's problems, which leads me to chapter 2. Chapter 2 is the problem. So the problem somebody faces is an obstacle to where they want to be. And then once you can define where they want to be, where they are right now, you can get a good understanding of that obstacle. And remember, you figure that out through talking to these people, as well as potentially reflecting on your own experience if you have been in the same spot where you're trying to solve that problem. And then once you write down these things, you're gonna ask yourself, is what discomfort is associated with that problem? In other words, why is that problem important to solve? And then once you can answer that question, as well as you provide an effective solution to that problem, that's going to be your offer to the group of people that you are helping. And then from there, you just have to provide a service or product that serves as a vehicle of transportation to where somebody wants to get to. And that vehicle is going to be implementation of the solution that you have. Now, if you don't know the solution as well as you would hope, or you found that you can't effectively implement it, you have to ask yourself, is this a skill deficiency on my part where I can't teach my clients as well as I thought I could, or I can't help my customers as much? So does my product actually serve the purpose that it's supposed to serve? And then if not, you just have to ask yourself why. Do you not know how to give it to them properly? Do you not know how to actually solve the problem they have? Or is this something else? And then once you figure out one of these things, you just go back to the drawing board and look at, where do I need to go to find the information to my problem, right? And then as soon as you find that information, what you're gonna do is you're going to apply it. Whether it's a problem of teaching skills, or this problem is the fact that you don't understand the solution to the problem you are trying to solve. So maybe you're reading books. Maybe you bought a course on leadership. Maybe you read a forum somewhere online about how you can more effectively speak. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter which one it is. Again, it all comes back down to improving your character, so therefore the way you behave, allowing you to more effectively progress in business. And then once you've done this, it's going to be like the difference between swimming from New York through rivers and the ocean all the way to London versus flying there. Before, you didn't even know where you were going. You stopped as soon as you got in the water. But now, you just get a plane ticket and you're there. And it's going to be the same way, not only in your business, but also for your customers and your clients. They're going to have more success, a higher satisfaction rate, and overall it's going to be much, much better. But until you can define these things, you're not going to be able to have that effective transformation, because you aren't the type of person who can make that transformation for yourself or your customer base. However, once you have that in place, to be able to then furtherly scale, you need to have the right sort of client acquisition. So you need to be able to actually get customers and get them consistently. Which brings me to chapter 3, the acquisition. So when I first started off really trying to scale my business, I was making a few $1,000s some months less than 500. And there was a problem. Didn't understand clearly how to get clients and serve them well. And what ended up happening is that although I was really smart in my craft, I had a lot of competence in the area that I was teaching in, which in that case, I was actually hosting pretty much a coaching program for implementing the right systems and mindset into your service-based business, so that way you're going to be able to effectively grow it. Now, I don't sell that anymore. I haven't sold that in, I don't know, it's been like 8 or 9 months. With that being said, it was almost harder to make $250 at one time just from one person than it now is to make $2,500, which I actually personally made on just one call. And that was just a commitment for a $15,000 client, which I was personally serving to help him increase his sales through his sales process and grow his acquisition system, which we did. We made like 10K in 2 weeks, which was one of the best time periods for that guy. And he actually was an online influencer when I was working with him. It was about 4 or 5 months ago at this point. With that being said, is that what I realized during that time is that I was able to have a better understanding of how to get that customer, and I was more exclusive with who I got. Because if we brought it back to earlier in 2024, when I was trying to get these guys to be coaching clients of mine, I was just accepting whoever. And that's a problem, because when you accept whoever into your business, into your clientele, or if you're selling a product and being your customers, then what ends up happening is there's lower customer satisfaction. You don't actually solve problems for people because you're not being specific with the people you bring on. And on top of all of that, you're not actually going to be able to grow because you're serving whoever, whenever, and you're prioritizing cash rather than knowledge. So in the short term, although it makes a little less sense, maybe to you, you want to just have one way to get your leads, and then one type of person you want to work with, and following that a clear process to be able to get them to say yes to you. What is that clear process? Well, it's simply comprised of a few things. 1, getting them to understand the solution to their problem. And then 4, getting them to trust that you could help them implement that solution. And then how you do this can be through a few different avenues, either text, video, or in person. And that's it. Well, then you're able to get people to see you. And then if you keep using them, whether it's DMs, or it's a billboard that goes to some website of yours online, it's paid ads, or it's YouTube videos. Eventually, people are going to know you exist, and then they're going to understand their problem because you're marketing to that one type of person. So you're only talking to them. Everybody else, you don't really care about. Now it's like, oh, but I might make less money, or I could sell to them because I can kind of help them. Yeah, I get it. But at the end of the day, you want to be more specific, because the more specific you are, the more you hear about the problems that niche struggles with, which is the group of people you want to help. And then over time, you're going to be able to tailor your products and services to that person. So then creating that exclusivity and following by that process over a long enough period of time is eventually going to make you so much more money. It's the difference between funneling gas into a car through straw, literal just a few strands of straw. There's probably not going to be much that gets into there. Or metal. What do you think is going to be more efficient? Pretty sure you know the answer to that. And then going forward, you're going to just want to experiment with different things and change the way you do things to slowly improve. Now, how do you do that? Well, that leads me to chapter 4. Chapter 4, the experimentation. So the biggest thing you have to understand when trying to create consistency in income and improve your character inside of your business, it actually isn't getting more information. It's not reading books. It's not buying courses. And it's not doing most of the stuff these business gurus tell you to do. It simply comes down to one word, and that word is act. The best part about this word is that the more of this you do, the more you're gonna be able to change this to make it better. Yeah, the first time, you might be, you're probably gonna be worse than you thought you were. It's gonna be kind of humiliating, to be honest. And even the 50th time, maybe it's your 50th sales call, your 50th ad you're running, it's still not going to be as good as you might think it might be. But over time, there's a certain system you can use to be able to make your action so much better. And this it's this very, very simple thing once you learn it. And then all you have to do is consistently use this system to be able to make all of your actions so good, you can just naturally do that, and you just have that skill set for life. And what this system is it starts with a thought. It's a thought to just start. And the thing is that as soon as you get this thought to start, what you're gonna do is just do it. That's the very first thing, right? First thing you're gonna do. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna decide, and then you're gonna act. And then as soon as you act, you're going to find somebody. You wanna find somebody who's done this thousands of times and has gotten the results from this, whether it's a sales call, whether it's a video, whether it's copywriting, whatever it is. And then you're gonna get feedback. And then you're not just going to listen to the feedback, you're not just gonna read it or whatever it might be. You're going to write it down. And then the next thing you're going to do is, once you've written down this feedback, the next time you get the thought to act, or you see on your calendar that you know you're supposed to do a certain thing in your business, you're going to look back at the feedback and then implement that one thing. And you're gonna act again, and then you get the feedback, and then whenever you get the thought, or whenever it's like time to do the action, then you're gonna do it. And then anytime you think you can't do this 10 times more, because a lot of the time you just have limiting beliefs and things that are stopping you from doing this thing. But no matter what, if you just do this thing and implement this one thing, every single time. And this is a new thing. And if you didn't implement it last time, implement that thing and then implement something else. And then eventually, after you've done this cycle like 100 times, there's literally no reason why this action isn't 1,000 times more important and valuable to you. Because hey, guess what? You want to know what a skill set is? It's a set of behaviors, and then it's another set of behaviors that form a certain skill. And then when you have multiple skills, that's a skill set. Like leadership, it has multiple skills within it. Charisma, compassion, presence, and these sorts of things. So then once you start developing your skill set, it makes your actions higher quality with the quantity you're doing. Meaning quantity creates quality, so anytime you feel like you could be better, you just have to act more. And I actually had this problem with my content for a long time. Like you could see there was a period of time that I was only posting once or even twice a month on this channel a year or so ago. But there was a problem. I wanted to get customers through my channel at that time. I wasn't posting almost at all. And I wanted to, on top of that, I wanted to be able to grow my character and be able to develop the skill sets that you see Iman Gadzhi and these other creators have. The issue is that I still wasn't posting at all. And what I figured out is that a lot of the time I was just making excuses through doing more preparation, or I had to script, or I had to watch this video, I had to make sure I was doing this thing right. At the end of the day, if you do keep doing the same thing, you're gonna keep getting the same result. And I was trying to figure out why I wasn't getting the results I was looking for and developing my character in a way that I wanted to. Well, it's because I kept acting the same way. So I never changed this. And then guess what? I didn't change the result that I got. So what I realized is that I just had to start, and then I would track data from my action, which by the way, all the data is the result you're looking for. So if it's views, or if it's money, or if it's a certain KPI, maybe it's your sales call closing rate, or maybe it's your drop shipping store conversion rate. Whatever it is, write that down today, and then every single month what you're gonna do is you're gonna write it down again. And then the idea is that it's going to improve, and over a long enough period of time, if you get enough feedback and you do enough action, then it will improve. However, what you have to understand is that everything is going to be a trade-off. Everything will be. So by you not implementing like everything, you only might be at 80% as good in the thing that you're doing as you actually could be if you spent way more time trying to implement every detail that you know into it and making it better. The thing is that 80% as good as you could be right now is way better than 95% 6 months from now, because if you do that thing every single day, 6 months from now, your best is like 10,000 times better than it is today. So yes, you might not be as good as you could possibly be right now if you just get after it. But if you keep getting after it every single day, what'll end up happening is you'll be so much better than you could have been before. And then you're gonna have the right systems in place, and you're gonna have the skill sets necessary to be able to constantly get the same result that you want. It's just like this pottery class that was taken by different students. And one set of students, what they were told to do is they can only make one. They can only make one pot. They had the entire year to do so. However, the other set could make as many as they wanted. And at the end of the year, the professor would judge which group did better. Which one do you think it is? Well, you should probably know by now that it was the group that did more, because they were able to get more feedback, they were able to make more improvements, and they consistently did it. So they developed not only the skill set to be disciplined and focused and resilient in actually understanding how to implement feedback, but what they also did was they developed the hard skills of, well, pottery, right? Instead of trying to make their one perfect based off their limited knowledge then, they got so much more. Therefore, at the end of the day, they were just better. With that being said, throughout that time, as you do stuff, you're going to make mistakes and you're going to have doubt, which leads me right to chapter 5. Chapter 5, the doubt. So the thing is that in May of 2024, as I really got into we could say the lowest point of entrepreneurship, I had been in the same field for now about 6 to 8 months. And I did 5 or 9 or something other business models in the past, which I ended up changing, or then I got into coaching, then I changed niches, and I was doing some service-based stuff, and I changed in there. I finally stuck to this one for a while, but then I almost switched business models. It was so close to it because a couple of my clients what they ended up having is that they weren't, we could say, happy with the service I was providing. It was partially my fault because I didn't work hard enough to really put in all my efforts as I could have into the service that I was providing to them. And the problem also was that I didn't choose a very specific person. I was kind of just letting whoever in. If they were a 14-year-old entrepreneur from Idaho, let them in. If they were some random guy who wanted to become an agency owner from Kenya. And what I realized is that not only did I not work hard enough, but I wasn't being as exclusive as I could have been. And that's a problem. Because what ended up happening is that I was told I wasn't really qualified for what I was teaching and all that stuff, which I had the competence in the area, which is fantastic. But what wasn't too good was the fact that I was told that I wasn't good enough. And then that creates more doubt. And then the problem with that is that when you have more doubt, you will usually act less because there's even more uncertainty, which, by the way, as you've probably realized, is already amplified in business. And in business, it's so uncertain because everybody who started off, all these finance gurus that seem like they're all confident, like Andrew Tate or whatever, they all started off not really knowing what they were doing. They just tried some stuff and hoped it worked out. The difference between them, though, and you trying to scale your business is that you're letting this little word called doubt affect you way too much. And then the problem is that doubt, what it typically will create is a bit of inaction. And then inaction, because remember, when you're not doing action, what you start to think is every reason how that action could go wrong. So this inaction, it just comes back and creates more doubt, which creates more inaction. So the biggest thing you can do to remove this entirely is simply outwork the doubt. And the difference between outworking the doubt and, well, not, is like the difference between standing on quicksand and concrete. When you're kind of just sitting there and you're listening to this doubt and this logical stuff in your mind making you think, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this. And what ends up happening is you're like sinking into this hole into your subconscious that you just can't make it happen. And that ends up making it feel like you're trying to get out of quicksand, but of course you can't because you keep sinking deeper. However, if you keep working, then and work like 5 times harder than the doubt is trying to seep into your mind, it's like standing on concrete. It's hard, it's rock solid, you're not seeping through there, which means the doubt isn't going to seep through into your mind. The issue we sometimes face is, although you might have heard of that before, you still let this get to you because of a simple concept that goes like this. So what you have to understand, the difference between confidence and arrogance, and hear me out here. So confidence is a state of no pressure. Arrogance is thinking you are better than you are. And then we also have to understand doubt. Doubt is the fact of not feeling like something is going to work out. The problem lies when you're too arrogant and think you are better than you are. Something ends up happening where it's like a reality check, like, oh my God. And instead of having no pressure, which is confidence, you're brought all the way back down to this doubt category. So you keep being pushed, like, oh, maybe I really am not good enough. Oh, but then you make like $2,000 in a day or whatever. Oh my God, I'm the best person ever. One of your customers wants a refund. Oh no. And then you're in this constant up and down cycle of arrogance and doubt. But if you actually had real confidence and just didn't have that external pressure affecting you, what would happen is that you just have this constant cycle of no internal external pressure, which means that you're going to be able to be much more focused and consistently act in the way you know you need to, because you're not letting these outside things influence your decision. And now how do you get there? Because maybe you understand that conceptually, but you don't understand how to actually get there. The way you get there is through a concept that we talked about earlier. It simply comes down to knowing the person you want to become and then focusing on what behavior can I do right now that will align with that sort of person. What thoughts do I need to think? Decisions do I need to make? And actions do I need to take that allow me to become the character that's able to achieve the vision I have? And then rechecking in with that vision and why it's important with you, as well as constantly checking in with the type of person you need to become. and just slowly being like that. And no, there won't be consistency in the short term. You're gonna feel like things are crumbling around you. However, in the long term, if you continue to do what I'm saying, you will be able to not only build up more resilience to these different wavering extremes, but you'll also be able to actually develop your character so you can be the type of person you need to become. However, throughout that time, it's still going to be kind of boggling. It's gonna hurt, and there's going to be a lot of times you're not feeling too good and you're also feeling fantastic. So what we need to develop is resilience, to being able to bounce back from these lows and highs, to being able to consistently work towards that character we need to develop, which leads me right into chapter 6. Chapter 6, the resilience. So resilience is the ability to bounce back. And in this case, what we need to develop is mental resilience. Just like when you're fighting, you get punched in the face, ideally, you're able to bounce right back and get back into the fight instead of crying about it. That's the exact same way, but mentally with your business. You're gonna have problems that you face. There's going to be stuff that goes wrong. But if you're able to bounce back immediately, stay level-headed, and stay in the game, it's going to be so much more valuable for you to do that than getting affected and getting all this doubt by this stuff, as well as the heightened level of arrogance when things go right. If you can stay in that confident range, you're going to be able to progress so much faster in your character and in your business than otherwise. And the problem is that there is a lot of stress associated with these problems. That's a lot of pressure. I know, I've been in this space for years. However, stress is a double-edged sword. And what I mean by this is that either you can take the stress and do everything possible to avoid it, or what you can do is learn how you think about stress and how you're currently managing it, and then manage it in a better way, so that way you can not only do more within your day, you're gonna be able to also emulate the behavior you need of the character you need to become to achieve that vision that we've been talking about. So, how you're gonna do that is first identify, how do you feel when that stress comes up? Is it anxious? Is it fearful? What is that thing? And then how does that make you react? What do you go to? Scrolling on Instagram Reels? A walk outside? Constant doubt? Overcompensating by being super logical in your mind? What do you do? And then what we need to look at is that actually beneficial for you? And if so, fantastic. If not, then that's a problem that we need to solve. And the best way to solve it is, there's two ways: reflection and action. So first thing we need to do is figure out what you're doing, and then why is it quote unquote bad, or in other words, why is it not aligned with the person you need to be to get the progress you want to make. The next thing you need to do is just not quit. Because even if you are feeling like that, you don't want to demonize that sort of behavior. You just need to accept that that's how you are and that's how you've been reacting. And then from there, instead of being super biased against it or demonizing that and putting a stigma around it, you can then address it and be like, okay, well, this is what I'm doing right now. And yeah, I can stay like this, or I can focus on being this type of person. Like for example, you could say, I'm somebody who works when X appears. And that's just me. And that's me because I know that that's going to help me achieve the goals I have. So instead of saying, oh my God, this is terrible, why am I still doing this? Instead, you can reframe it to what type of person I need to become and focusing on that lane. At the end of the day, there's going to be other people's opinions, and other people are going to tell you how to manage these things. And there's going to be biases, and there's going to be people online in your life who are going to say, oh, you shouldn't do that. That's terrible. Why are you doing that? But you need to be able to have resilience against them too. Because really, your opinion is what's going to matter the most in the long run. Are you going to fold into their beliefs? Are you going to continue to do the things people around you do and listen to probably creators online that are telling you, you can't listen to music. If you listen to music, you're evil. It's like, you're going to continue listening to that, which, I don't know, you can have your own opinion on music, but point being is, are you going to look back on that in 20 years from now and regret not doing it? Or would you regret the, we could say, potential failure that you would have, which is actually just a learning lesson? It's like, hey, if you drink caffeine for 6 months and you realize it doesn't actually make you feel too good, okay, then change it. But don't just stop drinking caffeine altogether because you've seen one Instagram reel that says it's so bad for you. Do your own research test it out, and just the biggest thing is don't quit. Keep acting and keep being able to bounce back from these problems, because yes, it's going to be stressful, but you'll slowly learn yourself on how to manage them in the right way. And then you'll be able to achieve new goals, and you'll be able to realize that the magic you were looking for the whole time, and that motivation, that feeling of having no pressure, was simply in the work you were avoiding. Because as you do more of that, you'll just build an undeniable stack of proof that you are that character that you say you are. Then you'll achieve new goals, you'll reach new highs, which that actually leads me to the next chapter. Chapter 7, the standard. The standard that you then have to hold yourself to after you reach these new highs. And after you make more money, after you become this next character, there's gonna end up being a standard you almost feel like you have to hold yourself to, which is honestly gonna be even more stressful. So thinking back to October of 2023, I made $3,000 a month, but there was a problem. Right after that, I felt more stressed than I did before I was trying to make that, because I felt like there was a new standard I had to uphold myself to. And I was like, okay, I can work around this, right? Becomes February of 2024. I make $5,000 a month. But right after that, I'm like, oh, well, now I need to keep performing at this level. I can't do this and say that I haven't done it before. And then following that, I make $8,000 in a month, only to feel more stress than I had when I started. It wasn't because, making more money is terrible and whatever. No, that's great. Being able to be financially independent is fantastic. With that being said, is that you're going to reach these new highs and you're going to keep climbing more mountains. But then what you're going to realize is, okay, you have to go back down and climb another one. And it's only going to get harder and harder and harder if you keep focusing on the peak of the mountain instead of focusing on the climb. The climb is developing your character, becoming the person you need to become. And through that constant pursuit of improvement, you'll realize you're already at the peak without even trying. Now, if you want more help with this in one-on-one personal access to talk to me, just click the top link in the description, and then you can follow me on Instagram, and feel free to shoot me a DM if you need help with anything throughout this video. And then if you need any more help with any specific part of growing your sales process or just making more money online, what you can do is subscribe to this channel, and then there's tons of videos on here that help you with exactly that.